What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Elite Real Estate Podcast, where real estate meets mindset, marketing, and momentum. I'm your host, Jimmy Nelson, and today we are coming to you live from the Royal Oath Insurance Group right here in Clinton Township, Michigan. Big shout out to the entire team here. Royal Oath is more than just an insurance agent. They're your promise keepers. Whether it's auto, home, business, life, or health insurance, they're here to protect what matters to you most. You can check them out at royaloathinsurance.com or give them a call at 586-238-3535. And of course, today's episode is brought to you in part by our friends at Connection, the CRM built for closers. If you're a real estate agent, entrepreneur, or small business owner looking to automate, follow up, and close more deals and stay top of mind, then Connection is your secret weapon. Go to yourconnection.com and take control of your pipeline today. Now, whether you're tuning in live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, or X, catching the replay on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you stream, we're glad you're here. Do me a favor, hit that like button, drop a comment, and share this with a friend, and make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. All right, guys, let's get locked in. We've got a powerhouse show lined up today, and if you're in business or real estate or just building something big, this one is for you. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome back to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. I've got a very special guest joining me today. I'm going to be excited about bringing him on. I'm going to let him come on and introduce himself now as we get some of this out of here and as I do my adjustments here. But Mr. Garrett Maroon, how are you, my man?
I'm great, Jimmy. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for having me on, brother.
Yeah, for sure. I was excited to get you on. You and I have never met face to face, but I did some research. So I did some research
That's
on
scary.
all the research has been good, man. So whatever you
did. All right, good. We wiped all the other things clean. That's fantastic. Yeah. Didn't know. Didn't know we had done that. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever you're putting out on Google, keep putting it out on Google. It's working. ChatGPT found you some information, so it's all good stuff, brother.
I love it.
So talk to me. Tell me about where you came from, what you're doing, how you're doing it, and then let's just dive into some stuff here.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. So, man, real quick background. I've been in the industry for 11 years. I started on a team, left that team, and started my own team in 2016, and have been doing that ever since. Got out of production with one agent and one admin about 2.5 years ago. We're 100% referral. That's all I've done my entire career. Been fortunate to really build that well. Man, I'm married. We've been married, my wife and I, Rachel, for 13 years. We have 5 little kids, 8, 6, 4, 2, and almost 3 months as of this recording. And real estate's been a game changer for me, brother. I came from the higher education world. My wife told me, you'd be a good real estate agent. My parents told me that's terrifying. Don't do that. It's all based on commission. And by the Lord's kindness, I went for it. And man, the rest is history, as they say. It's allowed me to do all kinds of cool things I never thought would have been possible. So yeah, it's just, I think like your heart too, it's just my heart to pour into other agents. It's such a huge opportunity. And I have such a heart for those that are struggling, for those that are doing fine, but kind of stuck in the middle, don't know what to do next. Those who are team leaders, honestly, that are swamped. Like, I just want to serve this agent community. And so it's a joy to be with you, brother.
Yeah, for sure. And, there's a lot to unpack just in that very beginning of what you said, right? So, you came from that. So in my, I have my degree. I was supposed to be a high school teacher, right?
Nice.
I was supposed to be social studies English, right? Social studies major, English minor, and coach basketball. So I did the basketball coaching part. I just didn't do the I did the student teaching piece. I just never continued on with the teaching
Awesome.
piece.
That's great. I love it.
But I feel like it is a pretty easy transition into this real estate world. Because we are teachers, right? Like we are, and again, because we're helping other agents, and not only that, our clients along the way. Right? Like our clients along the way. If I've had a couple conversations with some teachers that are getting ready to retire, and I'm like, and they're younger, they're in their 50s, they're my age, but they've been doing it for long enough. But I feel like this is what we kind of just guide and direct people anyway. Like this is a perfect transition.
I do. Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely believe the same thing. It's funny to look back on my experience. I was an assistant director in admission, right? So I was talking to people about our school. I was giving presentations, all those things similar to kind of what a teacher would be, as you talked about. It's amazing to look back and say those skills that make a difference in the industry, the relationships that you have, number one, that's huge. And then just the skill set to be able to explain something to somebody who needs to understand maybe a complex idea from history, right? Maybe it's complexity of what the school offers and what it is. It's all the same thing. It's that ability to connect, its ability to communicate, its ability to simplify, quite honestly, so that people can actually choose and make a decision and understand what they're being offered. So yeah, this industry, all kinds of people can succeed. And that's what I love about it, right? I think there's this obsession, Jimmy, that you've got to be the outgoing person that loves to network constantly 24/7, and truthfully, like that was me until I had kids and I just got too tired. And now I just want to be at home. I'll work and then I want to be at home at the end of the day. And I've met people and coach people probably like you that, well, hey, I'm an introverted. Can I succeed? Absolutely. Because there are introverts out there that don't want someone that is as loud as I am, that would love to work with somebody like you that's more thoughtful and slower in terms of your process and how you take things and whatever. It fits everybody, right? And I love that about our industry. And so anyways, excited to see that anybody from any background can come and succeed. It's really up to them.
100%, man. And again, you're hitting it because, anybody can succeed at this, and you find your niche business, right? Whether you're introverted and you don't like talking to people, like you said, there's people out there that want that. There's people that think I'm too loud when I come in, right? They don't. Those people don't want me around. There's too much energy. There's too much going on, and and so you attract, right? You're attracting clients based on what you're putting out there. So if you're not putting out a lot of stuff and whatever, that may be attractive to some people because they don't want a lot of stuff out there.
100%. That's right. I think at the end of the day, the hardest part, honestly, Jimmy, is so I came in 2014, and to encourage any agent out there, I mean, it took me 5.5 months to get my first sale. My wife and I had agreed that I could try for 3 months. And I specifically remember that dinner. It was 3-month mark. And I said, babe, I think I can figure this out. I wasn't sure, but I'm pretty sure I can figure it out. Can I have another 3 months? And I'm so thankful we made that decision. 5.5 months in, I finally did it. Right. And the rest, just grew from there. But, number one, to any agent, I would encourage them, you got to have a long enough runway, right? Any plane can take off if you give yourself a long enough runway. The challenge often is we say, okay, whatever, it's going to be a 3-month runway. If I do this and it doesn't work, then I'm quitting because clearly I'm not good at it. I don't know if that's true. Maybe you just didn't give yourself long enough time to figure it out, right? And so give yourself a longer runway, whether you're an experienced agent or you're brand new. If you're an experienced agent, you're trying to figure out this team leader thing and you're thinking, man, this is not working. I guess I'm not cut out for that. I don't know if that's true. Maybe you didn't give yourself long enough runway, right? Maybe you just keep working at it, or you're an agent that's stuck at that 10 deal a year mark. Like, I know what I'm doing, but how do I get to the next level? You need support. Everybody needs support and coaching and encouragement around them. But at the end of the day, the reality is your runway long enough for you going to get there? So that's number one. Number two, I think the challenge in the industry, Jimmy, is, so I came in and I went to the cold calling and the door knocking, the open house and the buying leads. I went to all those classes, and those were, again, just like there's all kinds of people, there's all kinds of ways to build your business, right? Any of those will work. But I knew enough, at least at the time, Jimmy, to say that if I'm going to build this business, it's got to be by relationships. That's who I am. None of the other things made sense to me. And it was really, if 5 years from now, if I have a big business, am I even going to like and want the business that I have? And so I knew it had to be built on relationships. So that's all I've ever done. I've never bought a lead or cold called or gone to an open house. But the point is, the challenge in our industry is they say there is a one size fits all approach. Sure, you can be all kinds of people, all kinds of backgrounds, but when you get here, you better look like everybody else, right? You need to be on the phone 3 hours a day. You also got to work by referral. You need to be posting on social media, and you got to door knock and hold open houses, right? Like, nobody can effectively do all of those things, but you're made to feel lesser when you just say, I'm just going to be who I am and try to be really excellent at that. And that's going to help me grow my business. And I can tell you story after story about examples of that, but that's the challenge also in our industry. Great. You don't have a long enough runway. Maybe you decide you're going to give yourself a little bit more grace and keep trying. Awesome. Then the industry shows up and says, yeah, but what you're doing is not right. People laughed at me. Literally, my team leader, I was at Keller Williams and still love Keller Williams, but I was at Keller Williams, Jimmy, and I said, I was 28, I think 29, maybe my second year. And I said, I'm on the agent leadership council. I said, I'm going to sell 50 homes this year, all by referral. And she laughed at me. She's supposed to be the one supporting me. She laughed and said, it's not possible. Well, I was young and stubborn, thankfully. So I went out and did it. I literally sold 50 that year by referral. And I think it's just this idea of you can't succeed by being yourself. You need to be something else. And I just don't think you need to get better at being yourself, but you don't have to go become somebody else, right? And so I think if agents just can understand, give yourself more grace and be more excellent at being you, because no one else can beat you at being you, that's really where the win comes from, right? I think that's where longevity comes from, and we can dive into whatever.
Oh man, you are we are on the same wavelength, my brother. We are definitely on the same wavelength because I talk about the Elite Real Estate Podcast. My team is the Elite. We're EXP Elite. And I do a lot of coaching stuff. But I talk about being elite, and what my version of elite is different than what most people think, right? It's about being the elite version of yourself.
It's good.
Not of anybody else. It's like what's the elite version of you? Not of, like you said, not somebody that cold calls. It all works, right? All of it works. It doesn't matter. You can door knock. It works. You can cold call. It works. You can do social media. It works. But you have to find what you're going to be comfortable with and what you're going to actually do. Because again, that's the reason we have so much burnout in this business, is because exactly what you said. Go sit down and call for 3 hours. I don't want to call for 3 hours. Well, that's the only way you're going to be successful. It's not true.
Right. Yeah. And as a new agent or any agent that's struggling, you're willing to kind of do whatever. And so, I don't put fault again on that agent who's like, all right, then I guess I'll just do it. I don't know better, right? How would I know what to do? And it really is an industry problem, So I told him I was going to sell 50 homes by referral, Jimmy. I did it that year. I did it again the next year. I did it. I've done it literally every year since. I can't, it's like not 51 or 49, literally it's 50. And I'm like, I don't understand. No matter how hard I try, I can't break through. But I hire a coach, Jimmy. I'm 2 years into having sold 50 in a row. I hire this coach, had a full-time admin, and I get on this phone with her. She's a super sweet woman, really, really productive agent. And I say, here's my stated goal, right? Just need you to know, I don't want to sell more houses. I literally don't. I'm happy where I am. I want to figure out how to do it in less time because I just want to go home more. And she said, okay. So we're having our call, Jimmy. This is our first call. At the end of the call, she says, all right, Garrett, here's your homework. You need to go cold call 300 people and door knock 100 doors this week. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to do that. And she literally said, well, if you don't do that, you will not succeed in this industry. And, I wasn't trying to be prideful or whatever. I was thinking, I'm in the top 1% in my area. What else do I need to do? Right. So we hang up the phone. We get on the call the next week. Jimmy said, did you do your homework? No, I told you I wasn't going to do my homework. I didn't lie. And she said, Garrett, if you don't 300 cold calls and 100 door knocks this week, you're not going to succeed. So needless to say that relationship didn't last very long for coaching. Right. But it was this realization for me of, even though I felt like I was having pretty amazing success selling 50 homes by referral, I was 30 years old, right? That was a really amazing business for me. Here I was being told by an industry coach, that's not good enough. You need to do more. You need to do it another way. And that moment has stuck with me for, that was 2018, 2019, maybe. No, it was definitely 2018. And that's a long time ago. It stuck with me, and it hurts me to think how many other agents are hearing the same thing, right? And so I'm just on this mission to say that's not true. You get to be you. Just be excellent at it. Don't just say, I'm just going to be me and show up at 11 a.m. and post when I feel like it, or reach out to people when I feel like whatever. No, you got to be more excellent at being you, but you're allowed to be you, and that's the only way you're really going to win long term.
Oh, man. There's an old saying that a friend of mine told me, and it said, you can't teach a fish how to climb a tree.
That's so true, right?
And man, it nails it, because again, that's why I think we have so much burnout in our industry too, because we're doing something we don't really want to do. Right?
Yeah.
That when we get into that phase of what you're talking about, and then we have, like you said, then we have coaches and leaders who are saying, you can't be successful if you don't do this, right?
Yeah.
We had a coach, a woman in our coaching program that she was comfortable doing what she was doing. She was a grandmother, and she was thinking about getting out of the business altogether. And once we started talking to her, I figured out with her. She said, everybody in my team and everybody in my brokerage said, I don't make $100,000. I'm not any good at this. And I said, well, what would that mean to you? She goes, nothing. She goes, I just want to make enough money to take my grandkids to Disney World. Like that was the only reason she was doing real estate, was just to make enough money to take her grandkids to Disney World.
Wow.
So once we boiled that down with her and figured out how much that would cost, you know what she did the next year? She made over 100,000.
That's awesome.
And she relaxed. She relaxed and just did the business. And instead of trying to push and do whatever, she just said, I'm going to do what I need to do. And then she ended up going farther because she was more relaxed and wasn't pressing so much.
That's incredible. And I think so, I'm on this mission again to help agents, what I say, redefine success, because the industry scoreboard is all about deals, transactions, or same thing, but deals, GCI, volume, profit, right? That's it. Is if you can judge the character of somebody based on how many deals they do, right? And sometimes those things are true, but a lot of times they're mutually exclusive, right? I've been challenging my agent friends. Hey, if I said, hey, that agent was really successful, what would you think? Well, they sold a lot of houses. They made a lot of money. Okay. Well, if I told you that they also lost their marriage and they don't talk to their oldest kid, would you also say they're successful? And they're like, well, absolutely not. Right. But and that's actually happened in my market. Right. And it was widely known, sadly. Person's up there taking selfies with everybody at Realtor Prom because they were the number one agent, when it was widely known they were going home, sadly, to an empty home. That's not success, right? And the reality is we bought into this one definition. Well, success is selling a bunch of homes, right? It's this idea. I've been challenging people to say, when at the end of your life on your headstone, is it going to say, sold 105 homes for 40 million in GCI? Like, I hope not. It better not for me, right? It's not going to say those things. There's things that we all agree are far more important, but how much time do we spend actually living for those, as opposed to trying to fill up our real estate stat sheet, which nobody actually cares about, right? Like, yes, don't hear me say this. You got to sell homes. You got to take care of your family, whatever your situation is. But you could be the grandma who just wants to take, the grandkids to Disney World. That's a good thing. I've met so many, just because we're in that world too, we homeschool. I've met so many homeschool moms who feel the pressure because they want to provide, or they want to take care of their husband and their kids and homeschool them first, so they have time for like 5 to 10 deals a year. They do that. But what happens? The industry comes around, it's like, you should be doing more. You're wasting your talent. What are you doing? And I come around and say, good for you. You're right where you want to be. That's a good thing. We don't need to feel the pressure, or we're going to feel pressure. We don't need to allow that pressure of always doing more to make you feel like you're failing in every other way, right? You define success for you. You might not, for me, I didn't want to do more than 50. I was good. I just wanted to come home more. Maybe you want to do 5,000. That's amazing. Go pursue those things as long as it fits into your own scoreboard. And, for anybody that's married and has kids, but also theirs too. You don't just get to run amok and say, they'll understand, I'm doing it for them. They probably just would rather spend more time with you, right? So we've got to get a grip on, what does success actually look like definitionally. I'm literally looking at my scoreboard right there, so I know what I'm measuring and I know what matters. And it's a profit goal, no doubt, but it's a wife goal and it's a kid goal. And so I now have a new way to keep score, which means I'm going to play the game differently, which means that hopefully I'm going to win at work and at life. And that's really what I want to do. And most people would never say, it's fine, I'll ignore my family for years as long as I hit my profit goal. Most people would never actually say that, but we get consumed by the only thing we ever measure, the only thing the industry ever measures every month, right? Your broker is posting, here's the top salespeople, here's the top salespeople. What if they also said, and here's the person who took their kids out for a fancy date? I don't know how they would do that, right? But we're just celebrating this one thing, and I fall into it. We all fall into it as if that's all that matters. We know it doesn't, but we don't know what else to do. So we get stuck in that confusion and we just kind of follow the crowd. That's a really dangerous place for us to be. We've got to redefine what that looks like and then pursue what our definition is really well.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. And I refer to this as the work-life blend too, right? So there's not, because you're never going to find a work-life balance. There's never a balance. It's a work-life blend, right? So for me, I'm driving my son to school now. He's a freshman in high school, my youngest. So I drive him because it's on my way to the office. But I do a coaching call every morning at 7:30. So from 7:30 to 8:30, I have a coaching call every morning. Well, he just gets to hear this coaching call every morning. So
Nice.
I've just blended this, right? So I get to drive him to school, right? Because I can come into the office and or I don't have to go into the office either way. The beauty of EXP, right? But I get to go into the office, but at the same time, now I've blended. Now he is funny because then I discuss with him afterwards, like, what'd you think of that call? Or he'll be like, who's this guy? You know what I mean? It's funny, but it's that work-life blend, and it's finding out, again, that happiness that you said is so important. And so for you, for your business, how did you fall into this referral business? Like how did you create that, and where did that come from?
Yeah, good question. So, man, like I said early on, I came in and I went to every class. I was not I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. I wasn't excited about winning. I was just terrified of being terrible at it. I mean, right? I didn't want to come in and just be a failure. That's what really drove me early on. So I did all those classes. And it really was, I was 27. I wasn't smart. I'm still not really that smart, right? I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what I wanted, Jimmy. But again, it was just something where I just had enough understanding to say, this is who I am. I'm a relational person. I've seen other people figure this out. I've got to be able to figure this out too. And so I only had 40 people in my database. I'm not from this area. I worked at that university, right? So I knew some people from there. And so I bugged those people a lot, right, early on. But the reality for me was, I learned pretty quickly that this industry, it comes down to really one of two things. It's either how much I know, right, how much I'm willing to educate myself, or how hard I'm willing to work. And you tend to see one or two of those, or one or the other. You don't often see both. And so I got into a habit pretty quick, and it took me 5.5 months to make a sale, right? I was building something, I didn't know it, throwing down a ton of seeds, but I got in pretty quickly, Jimmy, and I started doing what I call the 3 L's. So the first L was learn. So every hour in the morning when I got into the office, because I'd still go to the office at the time, the first hour I would just read something. I was always reading a business book. I was learning something. I was growing, right? Albert Einstein said, you can't solve problems at the same level of thinking that created them. So, okay, I can't sell a house right now, so I need to become somebody different who thinks differently, right? So I was reading for an hour. And then the next L was lead gen. So I lead generated for an hour. For me, that was just reaching out and checking on my people, trying to understand how can I get face to face with them, or how do I teach them how to refer me? Because I just used to be an assistant director of admission, right? I was leading music at my church. You don't refer the music leader to help someone buy a house. And so I was having to figure those things out too. And the last L is launch. So for 15 minutes, I'd sit there and just say, where do I want my day to go? Right? I think it was Dave Ramsey maybe that said, if you don't tell your day where to go, you'll wonder where it went. Maybe he was talking about money. So I don't know. Somebody said that smarter than me. But the reality was, so I realized that. So, okay, I'm learning, I'm lead generating, and I'm launching my day each and every day. And it didn't work right away, right? And again, I expected it to happen quickly because that's what we kind of all do. I didn't know that for 5.5 months, it was building and building and building and building, right? So finally get a sale, and I ended up closing 14 deals the rest of that year, and then 27 my first full year. And so it was building. I didn't know because I wasn't seeing any effect of it, but it was building, it was growing. And pretty quickly I realized that, okay, number one, referrals work, right? Especially if you're trying to protect your time, referrals work because all of my database now, they're my sales force, right? I'm just taking care of them. And then number two, what I realized was the agents who came in with me, or the agents who had been around a long time, quite honestly, were mostly stagnant, right? There wasn't a lot of growth. There wasn't change. It's like you do 20, so you always do 20. You do the same thing, so you just do it again the next year. And I didn't want that. But what I realized was, as I was trying to help these other agents, as I was figuring it out, it literally was the difference. They weren't learning. They were executing. They weren't learning anything different. They were kind of, either the broker was like, this is good, we want you right here, because ultimately the broker wants us to keep our head down and sell more homes. They don't care what we lose ultimately, because they're the ones that make money, right? The industry is the one that makes money off that. And so they either just keep their head down, not learning anything different, how do I grow a team? How do I get leverage? Whatever those things, they just got stuck there. Well, thankfully, just because I was committed to that education, the compounding effect of years and years of learning, that's an amazing thing. And so that compounding effect was getting me further ahead and helping me understand things maybe a little bit quicker that they maybe didn't at that point, just because they've been doing the same thing forever without putting in new thoughts. So, it was really that. I just wanted to build that way. And so I set out to master it because I knew that I'm not going to be a cold caller, so I don't need to learn that. I'm not going to buy leads. I don't need to learn that. I don't want to be on social media. I don't need to learn that. I need to become a master. And if I become a master, I think it can change everything. And, I made that bet and thankfully it did. Honestly, thankfully it did.
Oh, man. It's so good. And you're right about the learning piece, right? Like there's so much to learn in this business every day. You know, the things are changing, things are adapting. You know, we just went through the whole NAR thing a year ago. You know, that's really gonna it impacted us this year, but it's really going to impact us next year.
Yeah.
Right. Because January they're going to really start hammering down on the buyer's agency stuff. So again, but again, if the agents aren't ready for it, they're gonna be in trouble, and it's up to people like us to make sure that other agents are up for it, and they get to learn it and do it. And so when did you make the move over to EXP?
Yeah. So quick story on how I got there. So I was Keller Williams, love Keller Williams. Again, still never say anything bad about it. I think it was the most entrepreneurial model that existed until EXP showed up. So I love it and so thankful for my time. But so backtracking a little bit. So I'm at KW. I have a team. And in October of 2022, I lost my mom. And that month and the last 2 months really of that year, Jimmy, for me, I just spent months praying and asking the Lord, who do you want me to serve? And for me, it became Christian agents. So it was very clearly that's who he wanted me to serve. And so I started what's called the Faithful Agent. It's a nonprofit for Christians in real estate. So started that in 2023, launched that podcast, excuse me, and was still at KW. Well, fast forward a year, that community is growing. And I started getting multiple agents from different areas of the country saying, hey, how do we get into business together? Will you start a Faithful Agent brokerage? Will you do this? Will you do that? Like, we want to do these things together. And number one, I had no interest in starting a brokerage, right? All my friends who owned one were like, it's not worth doing. Okay, I don't know. I don't want to do that. I don't know if I was going to, I knew enough of the EXP model to say, like, I'm not going to be able to compete with that. So I don't even think that's a good idea. And so at the time it was, man, I really appreciate you guys. You can pay me to coach you. I hate that that's my answer. You can, or listen to the podcast, come to our events. Like, I hope we can stay in touch that way. Well, a really good buddy of mine, who's now my business partner at EXP, Dave Caggiano, he had been pitching me on EXP for years. And I was like, I'm good, dude. Like, I'm fine where I am. I was just kind of comfortable, kind of stuck in the middle there, not growing, not dying, just fine. And I was always okay with it, right? And so I'm sitting down with him in coffee. This is a long story, but I'm sitting down with him and I'm telling him, man, I keep getting these agents asking me to start this Faithful Agent brokerage, and I don't know what to do. And he said, Garrett, this is what I've been trying to tell you. You can do that here at EXP. You don't have to own a brokerage. You can create a quasi brokerage, and it's an organization. And honestly, for the first time, Jimmy, it was, all right, tell me about that. So we make this switch pretty quickly. I come over January of 2024. And I didn't really know the model, honestly. I thought it was fine, like what I knew about it. I understood the organization piece, but that's why I showed up. And since I've been here, I mean, I have become, I love the model. I mean, I am obsessed with the model, and obsessed, honestly, with just showing agents there's another way. And I just had coffee last week with an agent who came to one of my events. And she's been selling 10 years for 15 to 20 homes a year at Coldwell Banker, which nothing against them genuinely at all. And so I just said, hey, what's the model of Coldwell Banker? Number one, she didn't really know. And I was like, well, hey, have you ever looked at any other models? I'm not even pitching EXP. She's like, I haven't. And said, well, to me, and I don't know if they're going to see this on video, but like, this is not a good way to make a decision, right? With your hands over your ears. Like, you should learn about it and then decide, right? Don't be afraid of 3 letters or whatever the scenario is. So we sit down, she tells me the model. I'm like, hey, have you even seen what EXP is doing? She's like, oh, no. And I tell her the model. She's like, oh my gosh, how did I not know what this was? And so I do, like, so much for me, this passion of, I didn't want to hear it because I was okay where I was, right? And because I was okay, because it was good, I wasn't looking for best. And I think a lot of us kind of fall into that. And so my encouragement now for anybody, again, is stewardship is not covering your ears and not listening. Stewardship is, I'm not even trying to pitch you. I'm just telling you what this is and what we're doing. And then you can go decide if that makes sense for you. It's okay if it's not. I'm not offended by that. But the right way for you to decide is actually hear me out, look at it, right? And then decide, am I in the right place or not? So anyways, that's not what you asked, Jimmy. But I came in 2024 beginning literally for the reason of I wanted to start an organization for these Christian agents who had been asking me to get into business, and didn't really know what I was doing. And now I've realized what a blessing it's been, not only just to me and my business partner, but to these agents that are joining us. It's EXP, no joke, has literally changed my life, and I am extremely thankful for that.
Oh, God does funny things.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's true. I did
And
not think that starting the Faithful Agent, which is a nonprofit, would lead me to EXP. I did not expect that would happen. Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah,
But God does funny things, and it's
he
never
does.
on our time. It's on His time.
That's right.
And
100%.
that's the inconveniently inconvenient
Yeah.
sometimes, right?
That's so true. Yeah, and it's been amazing. We're as we record this too, we're 2 weeks from when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, right? And
Mhm.
it's not a political comment at all, so don't hear me say that. Whether you disagree with him or not, it is still heartbreaking that a young father and husband would be killed. Whoever you are, whether you agree with what I believe or not, it doesn't matter. I feel heartbroken for you too. It's been interesting, Jimmy, because we happen to be in this position of we're a Christian. I'm running a Christian nonprofit. We're a Christian organization at EXP as well, and I didn't know, right? We're not doing it for this, but all of a sudden we're getting these agents that are either at EXP, like, hey, how can we get involved with what you guys are doing? And with co-sponsorship, awesome. We can bring you guys in too. That's amazing. Or I'm just getting other agents out there that are non-EXP, and they're saying, man, how do we get involved? Like, I realize that nobody in my office at least talks about being a Christian or talks about faith at all. And I feel really alone, and I just need support, right? And for me, it's not, well, you've got to come to EXP, then this is the only option. It's literally, I'll tell you about what we're doing, but I'll also tell you about what other people are doing that I'm aware of too, and you can decide. But it's caused this really interesting 2 weeks of introspection for a lot of people. I was talking to someone that I won't name them, Jimmy, but relatively high up in EXP just the other day, or just yesterday, and she was telling me that since this happened, her and her husband realized, hey, we haven't read our Bible and gone to church in a long time. We need to get back to those things. So I think you're seeing this resetting from a tragedy, what man intended for evil, God intended for good. You see this resetting for people of saying, all right, whether it's they're Christians and they're going to pursue that, right? Or it's just someone who's not a Christian who's saying, all right, this is not all there is, right? In a good way. This is the scoreboard of just more deals, more stuff, more whatever that can get taken away in an instant. What actually matters, right? In this book I have coming out, I use this poem called The Dash. And I don't remember the whole thing. I can't quote the whole thing, right? But essentially the concept, Jimmy, is very powerful, is when you look at somebody's headstone, it's the year they were born, it's the year they died, and it's a dash in between. And the dash represents literally the entire life, right? Well, whether it was used well, whether it was squandered, whatever it was. And all of us end up that way too, right? Like, yeah, we all think that we're going to leave this big, massive impact on the world. And maybe you will, but the higher probabilities you're going to leave a big, massive impact on your world right where you are under your feet. And so that dash is going to represent a ton to some people and nothing to most. And so that's not to discourage you. It's to say, how do you want to spend that? Right? Who's going to be there at the end? Who do you want walking beside you? How do you want to be remembered in that little dash that ultimately represents your life? And so, man, I think in a good way, it's caused people to come back to introspection and say, what really matters? And am I actually pursuing what really matters? And if I'm not, I need to do that again. And I think that's been a really incredible change that we've been seeing.
Man, you're striking my heartstrings, because it's how you live your dash, right?
Hmm.
How do you live your dash? And I've used this before. Like I told you, I coached high school basketball for 20 some years, and it was I still had a player reach back out to me. He's in his 30s now, but he reached back out to me not too long ago, and he said, "Coach, what was that? What was the thing you did with us the one time that was about living your dash?"
Wow.
And that was
That's
15
wow.
years ago. I did that with him, and for some reason it sparked him. It sparked in him 15 years later,
Mm.
and he was looking for some introspection on that too, right?
Mhm.
Like, so how do I? So it is powerful, and
Mm.
it's so important. It is how do you live that dash? And again, goes back to what we talked about at the very beginning of this. In that dash, no one's going to ask you how many houses you sold.
Yeah. They won't. Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
never going to ask you how much GCI did you make, or how many stocks did you have, or how many rental properties did you own. That's not part of the dash, and the sooner that we start to realize that and live that way, the sooner I think we all get to a better place.
Yeah, that's right. It's good. It's funny. Yeah, you talked about it 15 years ago. I just realized that you should have written this book. I don't know what I was doing then. You were way ahead of me. Yeah, I do. You're 100% right. At the end of the day, most people, in 100 years from now, 200 years from now, no one's even going to know who I was, right? They might be looking on whatever those websites are where you can look at your family tree. I can't remember, right? And be like, oh, that's cool. He was a real estate agent, or he did this, or for me, he wrote a book. Cool. Like, whatever. No one's going to be reading that book anymore. And it doesn't mean that our lives don't matter. I don't mean that. Well, maybe you're right. It's possible. Maybe the second one. But the reality is, right? Like at the end of our lives, what is actually important? And if we can work backwards, and then we pursue those things, right? So again, if you're in real estate, you should be excellent at it. If you're going to show up to something, be excellent at it, right? So don't say, oh, well, Jimmy and Garrett said that I should not work as hard and spend more time with my kids. I mean, maybe that's true, but you should be excellent at whatever you set your mind to. If you're in real estate and you're married and you have kids, or you're a grandmother, grandfather, whatever your scenario is, and you feel like you don't have any time left, I'm not telling you to be less excellent. I'm telling you you're doing too much stuff. So even in the book, Jimmy, I teach what I call the hierarchy of attention, right? So yeah, we've got, our organizational chart, whatever, but do we have it laid out in terms of who deserves the best of our attention? And are we looking at that? Now that's really hard, right? But for me as a Christian, it's the Lord, my relationship with him. It's my relationship with my wife. It's my relationship with my kids. And then it's work, right? So as long as I have the right order, which is not always by any means, but as long as I have the right order, I know where I must be excellent. And if I get all the way down and I'm excellent in my work still, and maybe I can decide at that point, is there anything left for me to be excellent in? Probably not, because at that point I'm pretty tired, right? And that's a season for me. That's okay. But if you're, again, to use that example, if you're the mom and you have a relationship with the Lord, your husband, your kids, you homeschool, and then your work, it's okay that you're selling those 5 homes a year because you've used up in a really amazing way the attention that you gave to the right places, first of all, and then you became excellent in the time you had left, which resulted in 5 deals. That's an incredible thing. You should be so celebrated for that, right? The industry might not celebrate you, but I guarantee you at the end of your life, they will celebrate you. The people that love you and that you love, they will celebrate you for making that choice. And so again, it's not an argument to say be less excellent. It's an argument to say be excellent at the time that you have to do it. And maybe if your business is selling 20 homes a year, taking you 80 hours a week, maybe you just haven't figured out a better way to do it. Right. So maybe you just got to get better at this business, stop doing so many things, and ask yourself the question, where should my attention be going? The best of I'm not saying equal time, right? Like, unfortunately, my kids aren't going to see me as much during the day as work will, right? And that's okay. That's just how this works. But the reality is, what quality of attention are they getting? And if I can try to be, and I fail at this a ton, but if I can pursue excellence in those 4 arenas, awesome. If there's anything left, then I just have to ask, do I have the capacity to be excellent? If I don't, then the answer is sorry, it's not right now, right? So I just think we've got to look at it that way. It'll shift the way we do things. It'll shift the way we show up for the people in our lives. Easier said than done, even for me, and I wrote it, right? But I think it's this new way for us to kind of look at it and gauge how are we doing in those areas.
Man, there's so much there, and it's so right on. And one of the things that as a believer too, is how you do one thing is how you do everything. And you writing a book, and so where did the book idea come from? Was that just on your heart and it had to come out?
Essentially, yeah. I mean, that's really, so I was, brief story, but I was teaching this new idea of this scoreboard that I had come up with maybe a couple of weeks before. I was forget where I was, but I'm teaching at this event, and an agent comes up to me afterwards, Jimmy, and she introduced herself as a solo agent and a mom. She said, Garrett, I sold 55 homes last year. Now my best year ever, which that's incredible. And she said, now everyone is asking me, what am I going to do this year? So I tell them 60 or 70 because we're just supposed to grow. Like, she said it like a question, right? And she said, but Garrett, after hearing your talk, I'm going to sell 30 homes and it's going to change my life. And now the point of the talk or the book is not to advocate doing less, right? Not necessarily. So I said, well, tell me why. She said, Garrett, I got into this industry for flexibility because I wanted to pick up my daughter from school every day. I've been so busy selling homes. Guess what I've never done? And it was this moment where it was a powerful moment for me. I wish I had her name and info and I could have followed up, right? But this powerful moment for me that if she went and pursued that, that would actually change her life. It would change her daughter's life. And at the end of the day, Yeah, she makes less money. Who cares? If you have no one to spend it on, if you have no one to spend it with, it doesn't matter, right? She was choosing what mattered. And so it was really that moment for me, Jimmy, that I didn't know if anybody cared about my concept. We're entrepreneurs. We come up with things all the time. And honestly, most of them are terrible. And so I didn't know if anybody would like it, but it was for her. And I, it was fortunate to get other good feedback, but her story for me was, man, there are people out there like that. And a win for me, Jimmy, is not sell a bajillion books, grow my organization. Those things are amazing. Don't get me wrong. But a real win for me when I was writing that book was thinking about a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever, I'm speaking at an event or I'm just at an event, doesn't matter what I'm doing. And a child of an agent comes up to me and says, Mr. Garrett, or whatever they call me, Mr. Garrett, thank you for what you do. I get to see my mom more. That is a huge win for me. That's what I want. Right. And there's a better way. Agents know there's a better way. They just don't know where it is. And so that's why I wrote it ultimately, is I've been fortunate to be able to be around my kids and watch them grow up. Time is not equal, right? The time that I have kids where they're young is not equal to when they're older and they're gone. The time is so important right now. I'm not willing to lose that or give that away. I know there's other people like that too. And I have to help them. I've got to help them break free from this industry definition and see that there's something bigger and better. And man, if I can do that to just one person, honestly, Jimmy, the 2 years of writing and editing will literally be worth it. And so, man, that's really why I wrote this.
Oh, man. It's so good. Let's go back to what we were talking about earlier in the program too, is you have to be comfortable with who you are. I'm a believer too in you said it, and I'll re-say it, but it's my faith, my family, then everything else, right? Then everything else kind of falls in there. Business is obviously the next thing, because we do need to make money to survive, right?
Absolutely. It's a good thing.
Roof over our head. It's a good thing. But how can we find that blend? How can we find that blend of, this is what we're going to do. And that's where your system comes in, is how do you find that blend of, how can I still go pick up my daughter from school and still make a good living, right? Like that's the key to everything.
Yeah, it is. So again, not to keep talking about the book, but I created what I call the PDA Formula, mostly because I thought it was funny because it reminded me of public displays of affection for anybody that's my age or older, right? And it was like, that's gross. Why are you holding hands? That's not what this is. And so it's a formula that I used to, how do I create a predictable, profitable, so the D is dollar productive, but profitable. How do I create a predictable, profitable business that aligns with who you are? And so, I'll give a super quick overview, but it's, in my opinion and personal experience, it's as simple as the predictability. I say, or I teach, you got to create what I call the lead generation recipe, right? If you ask grandma what her secret cake recipe was, well, she didn't Google it because that didn't exist back then, right? She came up with, maybe it was her grandma's secret recipe, but somewhere along the way, someone said, maybe if I put this much flour and eggs and chocolate, and I don't know how to bake, but whatever these ingredients are, I wonder if I put those together, I mix them together, I let them bake for 30 minutes at 350, whatever. When I take that out, I'm going to taste it. And if it's not perfect, then I'm going to either tweak it and do it again, or I'm going to scrap it and try something new, right? But you just keep doing it. You taste it and tweak it until it gets perfect. That's what lead generation is supposed to be. It should be that simple, right? We build businesses in possibility when we should be building in probability. You have the greatest lead gen plan I've ever seen in my life. How likely are you going to actually accomplish that? Oh, you're not? Well, then this is a terrible idea, right? It needs to be simple. It needs to be easy. It needs to be executable. The lead generation recipe is as simple as, say you want to create a business by social media. Great. Why don't you create this as your recipe? One personal post a day, one business post a day for 30 days. That's literally your recipe, right? And your goal is that hopefully you create a really delicious cake that maybe leads to one new buyer, whatever your goal is, right? So you got to put those ingredients in. You got to actually do that. And then you got to let it bake for 30 days. And then when it comes out of the oven, was that right or was it not? And it's as simple as, well, it got me 2 potential buyers, but no full buyer. So maybe I'll just run that again. That actually wasn't terrible. Or maybe I need to do 2 personal posts next month, 1 business post, do that for 30 days, see how that goes, right? We just don't have the patience to just slowly build the right recipe. We think, oh, that didn't work. A couple years ago, I was selling a monthly touch plan because I was working my referral route, whatever. And so I was just sending out for $50. Here's the mailer, here's the email, here's the personal touch I'm making to the database. I get a call one day, Jimmy, and it's a really sweet woman. And she says, Garrett, I need to cancel. I said, hey, totally understand, right? Whatever. Can you tell me what wasn't working for you in the program? She said, well, it just wasn't giving me the business I wanted, whatever. And so I said, hey, totally understand. Like, can you be more specific? I just want to know, this has worked for a lot of people, whatever. And she said, well, Garrett, honestly, I just never did it. And so I remember laughing, Jimmy, like, well, of course it didn't work. You didn't work it. I don't understand. Like, that, if you have a cake recipe and you leave out half the recipes, you're not going to wonder why it doesn't taste right. Of course it doesn't. You didn't do it, right? You didn't put the ingredients in. So anyways, I could talk about that forever, but the P, that predictability, create a lead generation recipe. The profitability part, the dollar productivity is, I think we've become too accustomed to, I put $1 in and I get $3 out, whatever it is. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's awesome. I'm just going to do that forever. And I'm going to go find where to spend another $1. Well, my experience was I put $1 in and got $5 back, whatever. And instead of just continually doing that, I just kept asking myself the question, could I get that $1 to actually create more than $5 and just keep squeezing and squeezing, right? So we got up to the point where $1 invested was making $90 in return. We had spent 10 grand on marketing and had a $900,000 GCI, a 9,000% ROI. It was insane. Why? Because we just kept squeezing that same dollar. The actual tangible example. So working my referral, right? We do events, mailers, all these things, like a lot of people do. Well, I started by doing my average event cost was $2,500 because I thought you got to spend money, you got to have these nice events. I had $200 a month in mailers, had $10 Popeye gifts every multiple of those every month. Well, then I started to realize this principle. Well, wait a minute, I've never even tested what would happen if I spent less, right? Why am I not holding that dollar accountable? And so I cut my costs on client events one year from $2,500 to $800, and we do 4 of them, so that saved me like $6,400. Guess what happened? Nothing. My business literally sold the exact same number of homes. So next year I cut the mailers down in half. I cut the Popeyes from 10 to 2. And I thought, all right, I'll test it again. Guess what happened? We 50 deals again. And so the reality is we need to hold our money accountable. We think we need the big fancy whatever. We need to do all these things. I don't know if that's true until you've tested the other way, right? And so it's this call to say, especially, man, where the market has been now, as we all know, you got to hold on to your money and you got to spend it intentionally. So squeezing that dollar, that profitability, and then ultimately the alignment piece, right? We've been talking about this, but the reality is your job is not to be what the industry tells you to be or to be all things to all people. Your job is to figure out who you are, who the Lord made you to be, and go be excellent at that. That is actually your job, right? Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time. Guess what he did? He played Major League Baseball. Yeah, he played Major League Baseball. He was not that good at Major League Baseball.
Right.
Was he less athletic? Do you think he worked less hard? No, I bet he worked just as hard. He was just as athletic. Guess what? It wasn't his sport. He wasn't made for that, right? My wife's best family friend growing up, you'll appreciate this. I'm sitting down, which is great for me because I'm 5'6"3/4", right? You got to throw in that 3/4, Jimmy. And my wife's best family friend growing up, the dad was 6'10" and the son was 7'1". I mean, just massive humans, right? So the dad calls me in one day. We're hanging out with them. And he wants to show me his office. He has this awesome sports memorabilia. It was super cool, but that's not what I remember. He works at a standing desk, Jimmy. I could literally walk back and forth just without ducking and thinking like, oh my gosh, how are we the same species, right? But here's the reality. He didn't become a professional baseball or basketball player, but could he have? Probably. Was his probability a lot higher than mine? Absolutely it was. But we spend so much time saying, I should have been that. So I got to go do what he's doing. That doesn't make sense. What I need to say is, who am I already? I need to show up and be more excellent at that because some people are going to like it. No one can beat you at being you, right? And the easiest way to burn out is to show up and try to be somebody else every single day. It's just not sustainable. And if I enjoy the way I do my business, this business is hard, don't get me wrong, but I enjoy the relationships. If I enjoy it, I'm going to naturally show up and do it more often. Consistency wins. And I'm going to naturally be better at it than someone who doesn't want to be in relationships with people. That's my competitive advantage, being myself. And so it's this call to the industry to say, you just create a simple recipe. You hold your money accountable and you do it in a way that makes sense for who you already are. That's what winning looks like. And how do we go achieve the new definition of success? It's to stop doing all the other things that don't matter, right? This is how we win at a high level in less time with less money. And it's going to ultimately free us up on the back end to be more present with our family, whatever we want to do. So, that's a super quick, truncated view. But man, that's really, hopefully is going to equip agents to actually go achieve that.
Yeah, I love that so much. And one of the things you brought up too, so it's like tweaking it, right? Because we talk about old recipes, and there was a story that I heard about a recipe, and the lady, she was cooking Easter ham, and she cut off the end of the ham and threw it away and put it in the pan and cooked it. And her sister said, "Why do you cut off the end of the ham?" And she said, "I don't know. That's what Mom always did." So then they asked the mom. They said, "Well, why'd you cut off the end of the ham?" The mom goes, "I don't know. That's what my mom always did." So the grandma came in and they said, "Grandma, why'd you always cut off the end of the ham?" She goes, "Because it didn't fit in the pan that I had."
That's fantastic.
All they needed was a bigger pan.
Jimmy, I'm totally going to steal that story if that's okay. I will give you credit. You should have co-authored this book. I mean, I think that's pretty clear at this point, but that's an amazing story. I love that. That's awesome.
I got to get the book because I love it so much, man. Like, and again, you're right. It's so true. And we do get caught up into the rat race. We get caught up into, I should be doing this or I should be doing that, or I'm not. And then the other thing that we battle with all the time with social media now is, well, so-and-so's doing this, I should be doing that too. We talk about the shiny object syndrome, and I'm going to implement this in my business, and I'm going to put this in my business. And, we're blessed to be around a lot of, high level people that are doing different things. And it's like, well, if I was doing that, I could do that too. Why am I? Well, you're talking about changing your whole business right now. Do you really want to do that?
Right.
Or can you just tweak something that you've been doing? Can you get the right size pan that the ham will fit in, right? To make your business work the right way that you want to do it and that you want to enjoy it.
Spot on.
Yeah. Man.
I'm not going to add to that because that was spot on. That was good. I like it.
So the book is out now.
Comes out in November.
Okay.
So it's for pre-order now. They can grab it right now. So there's a free download. I didn't want agents to wait. That teaches the PDA formula. So they can go to The Balanced Breakthrough with a D, thebalancedbreakthrough.com. It'll take them right there. They can grab it. It's super actionable on how do you actually start creating your own PDA formula. Then they'll be notified and updated. And through that, if they pre-order the book, I actually give them the audiobook for free. It comes out 3 months after the book, so they'll get it early and for free. So yeah, again, I just want to serve this industry. I really do. Of course, it'd be fun to sell books, but honestly, that's a vanity metric. And as hard as it is to not pursue that, what I really want to pursue is changing lives. And if that's 2 people that buy it, awesome. If that's 1 and it changed their life, fantastic. If it's a million but no one reads it, I don't care. This is meant to actually impact and improve the lives of people in the industry. And so I hope you'll go grab it. The PDA formula is going to help you right away. And then the book will be out really soon.
Oh, man, I love it so much. I'm excited to get the book. I'm excited for it.
Thank you, brother.
And, we'll add everything in the show notes and add everything for everybody that can be able to go grab it where they can. And where can they? Is it Amazon? Is that where we're going to find
Amazon, it? Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, and all those places.
Okay. All right. So I got it. And so what is, now you because you hinted at a second book. So is there a second book?
There will be. The answer is yes. I love the experience so much. I'm so knee deep into getting the word out about this one. I don't know what it will be. I have some ideas, but honestly, I feel like I caught that bug. It's fun. It's a really cool way to, think of impacting people that I might never meet. And that's really cool. So I absolutely think there'll be another one. I don't know if I'm a good writer. I do know that my editor is a good writer, so that helps. And so, as long as I can get that same editor in place, we'll be solid. But yeah, I hope there's more coming out. I honestly fully anticipate to continue to do more. It's just been so fun, such a joy to just sit down and write in a way that I hope is a blessing to people. Yeah,
and it's always. So there's always been a book on my mind too, and I've been working on, you sit down and you have these ideas and you pour them out and you do some different things. So I've been working on one as well. But for the second one, let's sit down. Let's co-author one together.
Let's do it, man. I love it. I love it, buddy. I love it.
I'm excited about that. Yeah, that'll be great. That'll be like breaking news for everybody.
That's right. That's right. That's awesome. I love it, brother. I love it.
Yeah. Well, we got about 4 minutes left.
Cool.
What's your idea right now? Like if you had a brand new agent that was just coming into the industry right now, and wherever they were coming from, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
What's your biggest piece of advice to that agent that's just starting in the industry right now?
Good question. So the first thing I would tell them, I would first get them mentally prepared for what's happening. So I would say, you're going to feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill. You're going to hustle. You're going to grind it out for just a little while because you are getting that boulder uphill, and you're going to do things you don't want to do, and you're going to get uncomfortable, and that's okay. Right? Everything should be built towards the final decision of how do I want to build this? And then we're going to work backwards. So if you want to work by relationship, which a lot of people do, fantastic. You may not be able to do that day one. You might not have as long of a runway as I did because you don't have money coming in. Whatever your scenario is, we got to go figure out how to get you right now money while implementing your long-term strategy. Because if you never get to your long-term strategy, you get stuck dialing for dollars. You're going to be stuck dialing for dollars 10 years from now too. So yes, there is a hustle component. Yes, there is a component of being inauthentic to a degree to just get yourself off the ground if you're brand new, right? And you need money today. I would say absolutely that's part of it. Let's figure out what's the right step for you to do it while building out what you actually want to do and build. Truthfully, if you're a new agent, my pitch is always, you need to start on a team. I started on a team. It was the best thing I could have ever done. This industry is too complex, and there's so little clarity that if you don't have someone around there coaching you, it's going to be really hard. It just is. And so I would definitely start on a team, but find a team that is in alignment with your values, number one, but also how you want to build a business. Is it okay with them if you say, hey, I get it, I'll cold call for a little, I understand. But once I've done that, I want to go full on referral. Is that going to be okay with you? If the answer is yes, then great. I'd say join those people. But that's where I would start. And I think it's too complicated for agents to really be alone. Honestly, with EXP too, I think with the organization, we've got such an unfair advantage, if you will, not to put anybody else down, but we've got an unfair advantage of how many resources we have for agents that almost don't need a team, right? So that'd be the only caveat, that there's a lot of support out there already. So I think as an agent, you just got to look and say, be honest with who you are. It's not about loving homes and loving people. That wears out really fast, right? It's about your diligence and your willingness to learn, to lead generate, to execute, right? And have someone around you who's going to just be anybody in our organization, Jimmy. I tell them, man, I'm your guardrails, right? I'm not going to tell you what to do. You got to figure this out too. I want to be wind at your back, but really I'm going to be the guy that's going to say, hey, whoa, you're going a little too far off the edge there, right? Like you said, you wanted to do this. Let's just stay right here. So I think every agent needs one of those. I need one of those. And man, I'd say go find one of those, whether it's a team, whether it's an organization, find someone who's actually going to support the way you want to build the business and can actually equip you to do it that way.
Yeah. Oh man, you're so right. And again, that support you get as a new agent from a team, right? As I didn't start out on a team, and I look back and I wish I would have. It would have been a lot easier than me banging my head against the wall by myself for a little while, and then transition into running one of the largest teams in the state of Michigan. So, but it's funny how that works out. But I 100% agree with you, my man, and about as a new agent starting out, find your tribe. Right. Find your tribe, find out where you fit in. And again, any brokerage will hire you. You could, if you have a real estate license, any team broker, they will all hire you.
That's right.
You need to interview them
and
find out if it's a good fit for you. Right. You need to interview them and find out if it's a good fit for you. So that's my advice. And I don't want to pile on, but that's
no, it's better advice than mine. I'd absolutely start there. Understand what you're trying to build, what you want to do. You don't know yet. That's okay. But have some semblance and then ask the questions and learn who's the right fit for you. Love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, well, Garrett, man, I appreciate the time. Yeah. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah. So thebalancebreakthrough.com, go there, or connect with me on Instagram, Garrett Maroon. Would love to. And please, I want this to be belly to belly. If it's going to change people's lives, please reach out to me. If you're struggling with whatever, I genuinely would do my best to help you. So at Garrett Maroon, they can reach out to me there.
I love it. I love it. And you can find the Elite Real Estate Podcast wherever you find podcasts. You can find the Elite Edge Network on YouTube and find the recordings there. And we are with you live every week. Garrett, I appreciate the time, my man.
Thank you.
I will talk to you soon.